Hey pimps, it's MadameWario, and welcome back to more on how to make Let's Plays. We are entering into the advice realm now, and today's episode is all about choosing. So today I want to cover choosing a username, choosing a game to LP, and choosing a commentary style. So kind of all the basic traits that will follow you throughout your YouTube career, or your Let's Play career, I should say. We're going to talk about those today because I get a lot of questions about, oh, what game should I play first, or is my username good, or, oh, I don't know if my commentary's good. I want to give some plain and simple advice right now. So, yeah, let's get started. Starting with choosing a username. Usernames can be tricky. I know that with YouTube, likely you already have a username that you're using right now to, comment and everything else, but maybe that's not the same one as you want for making Let's Plays, which is typical because I had a different YouTube account before I started making Let's Plays that was not, it was nothing like MadameWario. It was something entirely different that was just for like favoriting videos and all that good stuff. So yes, choosing a username is very important, but it's also kind of tricky. For me, I chose MadameWario because, well, number one, I really like the title, Madam. I like what it symbolizes for me. It's something that I found easy to remember, and it's just the way it was pronounced before Wario for me seemed very fitting, so I was like, okay, MadameWario is easier to say than any other title. And, Madame reminds me of, like, French, like, ballet awesomeness. I don't know. And because I'm such a big dance geek, obviously I'm going to appeal to that. And it also sounds very, like, I don't know, it just sounds very sophisticated to me. So I was like, okay, that needs to be it. I chose Wario to be in my name because he is my favorite Nintendo character, and I kind of wanted my username to be just a, immediate indication that I play Mario games. That's like my main thing, is I play Nintendo. Nintendo's my big deal. And when I made the name MadameWario, I guess what I didn't think about is, the comments I get about, oh, your name's MadameWario, why don't you ever play a Wario game? I didn't really think of that at all. I by no means made my username in hopes that one day I would cover every single Wario game on the market in my Let's Plays. For me, I used Wario because I really wanted Mario Party to stand out on my channel because that's a game that I love so much, especially, the original and Mario Party 2, and I always play as Wario in those games, so I was like, okay, MadameWario would totally fit that because, I love Wario, he's my favorite, and, I kind of see it that way, and, but I have had a lot of audience members that say, oh, you never play any Wario games, and that's kind of why. I never intended to play, many Wario games. For me, Wario games are Mario Party because I never play with anybody else, so, but keeping that in mind, just when people first see my username, or when I was making my username, I knew when people first saw it, they might think, okay, they would immediately know she's a Nintendo fan, that's what she does, and she's a girl. I wanted people to know I was a girl. That was another huge thing with Madam. If I was just Wario pimp fan, I was afraid that people would think I was a 12-year-old boy because my voice was higher, and some people still did, even though my name was MadameWario. They'd be like, are you a little boy? No, I'm not. But, that was a huge deal for me. If you're a male making Let's Plays, I don't think that's as big of an issue for you. Unless your name was MadameWario, yeah, they might think you were a girl. That's what I would assume. So that was another huge issue for me. I wanted people to know I was a girl, know I played Nintendo, and know I liked Wario. And I know I rambled on for a really long time with that, but I just want to give emphasis on that when you make your username. It can be an indication of what you plan to do or what you like most. To me, I think that makes a great username too. Using something that you really associate yourself with, or you want to associate yourself with, not just something that you thought, oh, that's cool. I don't know. So that's kind of how I think with that. And I'm going to give a couple examples here. Slim Kirby is another person who has a similar story to mine, only I know that his username came from a childhood friend. He didn't even make it up, essentially. So I know that's the story behind that, and that could very well be something that you do on YouTube too. Choosing your username, you could say, okay, this has been my nickname since I was 7 years old with my best friend, I'm going to use that. Which I almost did too. I almost did that, but I didn't because of the reasons I just stated. But, that is something to think of. I would stick to clear, easy pronunciation for your username. You've seen me on Ask MadameWario when I get the usernames that I'm like, Sayombo? What? And I just don't even know what I'm reading. That's going to make it hard for people to remember you and hard for people to find you. There are exceptions to any case, I know, but that's just my immediate opinion on that. I mean, you don't want people to have this reaction to your username. So, you want to choose something that's more fitting than just, oh, big blah 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 shoe 12. That doesn't work. Again, I will say there are exceptions. I'm sure a lot of you know of the Let's Player SSOPKC. In my opinion, I have no idea what that username is. And I'm not discounting his Let's Plays at all. I am just saying that, that is an exception to the case where I would not pin that as, a very good indication of what he does with his Let's Plays. I wouldn't pin that as, like, a username that's very memorable because of how complicated it just seems to me. Which maybe it's because I'm kind of dyslexic too, and so I'm immediately going to be like, wait, what were the letters in this? What order were they in? But, that's kind of an example of an exception. He still has plenty of subscribers, still has an audience. It doesn't really, that's not what's going to define that necessarily. It's just, my personal advice is I would go with something that is simple, easy to remember, and gets the point across of what you want to do and who you want to be. So, yeah, another example is my good friend, Dark-Minded Sith. His username has nothing to do with video games, but it does have something to do with what he loves, and it's easy to remember. That is something... He was one of the first Let's Players I found and remembered, and it was because of his username. I was like, oh yeah, he's like that dark-minded dude. I didn't know what Sith was because I'm not a big Star Wars person, but I was like, okay, whatever. It was still easy to remember, and it was easy to say. And I wouldn't advise a ton of numbers in your username. I wouldn't advise you to have, I don't know, Mario 481487762. Like, no one's going to remember that. So, and I would not advise for you to make a username that is, Let's Player M4124. To me, putting that in your name kind of sounds cheesy. You can do that. I'm not discounting anyone who has done that. But for me, I think that your username should be more about you, not about, oh, red flag, Let's Plays. Like, that kind of is... It makes you seem like an amateur to me. I don't know. I've just, even being in the dance field, whenever somebody's like, I'm a dancer, I dance all day long, I'm such a dancer, I'm like, oh my god, there's no way she's a dancer because she would not be talking about it like that. It's kind of the same thing. It just seems cheesy and it doesn't seem genuine when you do something like that. For those of you who have been attending Slim Kirby streams lately, I always pick out something that would make a really good YouTube username, and I'm pretty sure people have taken all my ideas by now, but some of the usernames I particularly loved, and I'm pretty sure all of them have to do with Bowser, unfortunately, but one that I really liked was Rainbow Bowser from Mario 64, Atomic Bowser Bomb, just from like Mario Party. I was like, oh my god, that's an awesome username. There was something like Mecha Castle, I don't know, something to do with a castle. I know that there was a castle username that just sounded awesome, and I was like, okay, that sounds like... I'm a big fan of castle and weirdness, apparently, because, you know, that's kind of what I think of when I think Madam 2 is like a castle title. I don't know. But anything like that is just, I don't know, I think that those are very catchy, and people are going to remember those, especially when they associate it with something that they like, too. Somebody who I think has a fabulous username, who is actually just a fan of my videos, I see them comment all the time, is Toad in Wonderland. I was like, oh my god, that's so cute. I loved it. So yeah, Toad in Wonderland, if you're watching. You know I love your username already, but that is somebody who I would think did a great job picking a username if they were going to make Let's Plays. And Toad in Wonderland, I don't know if you do make Let's Plays, but if you do, that's a pretty legit username. So for that too, for when you're commenting, and people like me or Slim Curvy or whoever is looking through the comments sees you, they're gonna we're gonna be able to see the username that stands out and be like, ooh, I want to see who this person is. And maybe you don't make Let's Plays, but I'm just saying that having a good username really helps with your people remembering you. So yeah, that is probably all my advice on choosing a name. I know it's I've rambled for a ridiculously long amount of time now about that, but I really want people to know how big of a deal that is. It's kind of like choosing a movie title. You don't want to choose something that's like no one's gonna even think of later. You want to choose something that stands out. So yeah, that is my advice with that. I think that actually I'm gonna continue the choosing category of today, but I'm gonna put choosing a game in a separate video. So again, you will see that today as well. But, yes, that is going to be a separate video just for the sake of time. So, alright, thank you guys for accepting my advice, and I apologize if I offended anyone. I hope I didn't, but I just want to be completely honest with this project. So, yes, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you momentarily for advice on choosing a game.